Sure we are on.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
we are on. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Empowered Entrepreneur. This is episode 3. And I am your hostess. I am Lyria Moore of Your Path to Blogging Success. You can find Your Path to Blogging Success online at www.yourpathtobloggingsuccess.com. Today I have on a very special guest. She is my first international guest. She's coming
Oh.
all the way from France.
I should have brought my baguettes.
Oh my goodness. Now, Sandy, I have not. Okay, let me first introduce you. This is Sandy Levesque, and I have gotten to know her. One of the main reasons why she stands out to me is through her videos on her YouTube channel, and that is one of the things I wanted to talk about today with Sandy. But I want to, of course, give a little background for everyone who's watching who doesn't know you. But before we get all into that, Sandy, I just wanted to let you know I love the French language. I fell in love with French when I was in college, and I have not, gone to France yet, but I do intend on going there.
Oui, mais oui.
One of the ways that I'm going to get there is by blogging, especially with the Empower Network. So that's actually what I wanted to start talking with you about is how you got started blogging and also how and why you started with the Empower Network.
Cool. Thank you, and thanks for having me on. And if you ever do come to France, and I'm still here, I might not be, then you have to tell me. But basically, how I got started in blogging was initially it was for professional reasons. I was an activist for about 10 years in London, where I grew up. I live in France now, but I actually grew up in the UK. And I blogged for a national newspaper on behalf of my campaign and the organization I worked for. And it was funny because I was very confident speaking about our cause, but on a personal level, I was so shy. Like, my Facebook profile completely covered my face. I never spoke on Facebook ever, and I did my professional thing, and I kept my personal stuff very personal. And then I had to actually stop doing all of that because I had major health issues about 4 years ago, which made me reconsider everything I was doing, and I realized I didn't want to stay in politics anymore. It was making me kind of sad all the time. So I actually became a Zumba instructor, and I started to teach Zumba. I moved to France, and I created a really successful business here. And what happened is that over time, I started to miss the impact you can have when you're blogging, or the kind of impact you have as a campaigner, where you're speaking to people about what you care about, and where you're really involved with what's going on, and you're always kind of working towards it. Like, I felt with Zumba, it was fun, but there's only so much you can do with a reggaeton or a merengue song. Like, you can dance, have fun, but I just felt like my voice was kind of being cut off a bit, and I started to look at ways I could reconnect with what I used to do without having to go down the route of politics again. And the universe works in really funny ways, because I was starting to think, well, maybe I could start to blog again, or I could write a book, because I love to write. And then I watched a webinar about blogging by Abram Gonzalez from, we're both working with him at Team Have It All. And the webinar was all about how he'd done a video every day for a year, how it had totally changed his life, like opened him up to so many people around the world and made him much more confident and less shy, and had moved things in his life. And as soon as I heard that, a light bulb went off, and I finished the webinar, joined Empower, because that's what where he was doing it at that point, and made my first video. And I had no idea really at the time what I was starting, because I thought I would do a 30-day challenge of making a video every day, of doing something different with money, and it really has blossomed from there. Like, I loved making the videos so much, and was having so much good feedback from people that I didn't want to stop after 30 days. So I decided to do it for the whole year, and I've kept to that. Like, I'm going to finish it soon at the end of this year, and it's just been so amazing. Like, I'm so, like, I feel like I've scratched a really big itch that was not being scratched, and making a video every day has really, it's just made my life way more magical than it was, just even a short year ago. So yeah, that's how I got here, and I'm just really loving it.
That is a great story. Thank you so much. Okay, so you mentioned that you needed to try to kind of, I guess, connect your passion with what you were doing. And I see that that's really important. As you said, we're in Team Have It All, and with Avram, he's been sharing, as well as Nikki, the leaders of Team Have It All. They've been sharing how about, connecting your passion, and you're gonna find your success when you are doing what you're passionate about. Because I mean, it's kind of common sense. You're gonna be the most excited. You're gonna be the most determined. You're gonna do whatever it takes. You're gonna have that entrepreneurial mindset with your passion, because you love it. It's something that lights you up, and when you're lit up, everybody else will feel that, and it kind of gets to be contagious. So I guess that's what you found, right?
Yeah, exactly. And something I've really noticed recently is that when you just said it perfectly, actually, because I noticed that over the time that I was teaching Zumba, even though I was good at it and I had, a successful business, I wasn't really good at it. It wasn't like a really easy thing for me to do. Whereas with the campaigning, the activism, I just love it so much that the campaign I worked on was really successful, and in a short space of time, we changed British law. We lobbied the Parliament, the British Prime Minister, and got loads of support. And at the time, because I knew I was doing what I was good at and helping other people to do it too, like my self-esteem was so high, and it was a great feeling. And what I found since, like, it's really interesting, the journey that we go through in life, is that when I was not really operating in my greatness, is how I call it, and doing Zumba, and kind of, I had to work way more to make it work. Like, it was a lot, it's like you just said, I wasn't as excited, and it didn't come quite as easily to me, and it just didn't really blossom in the same way, which is what made me realize that, something wasn't quite right. So if you ever, if you feel like you haven't found whatever it is that you're going to blossom in, then I would really urge anyone watching this to keep looking for it, because it's out there somewhere, and it doesn't have to be one thing only. Like, at one point I thought I could only be successful in politics, but I realized that the thing that I loved about politics was being able to touch people and being able to move things along and make people aware about things. And you don't have to be in a political party to do that. You can use YouTube and reach millions and millions of people and create kind of like a domino effect around the world just as effectively. So, it's when you're doing something like that that really lights a fire inside you, everything does start to move quicker than when you're kind of pushing against, pushing for it to happen, which is what I felt I was doing when I was teaching Zumba. And not to knock Zumba, it's nothing to do with Zumba. It's me, So whatever it is people love to do, find a way of doing it is what I would suggest.
That is a great. Thank you so much for sharing that, because you made it very clear how you connect the two together. A lot of people feel that disconnect, but they don't know how to connect it. So it sounds like what you did was just really took it down to its bare bones. The rawest, emotions and the rawest parts of who you are, and you asked yourself, what makes me me, and then how can I get that out? How do I do that? And that's what you did. You found out that it wasn't really, the title of being a political, activist. It was you connecting with people, really, and as you said, you found that through YouTube, which is, I'm so glad you did, because I love your videos. They are very, very creative. And I wanted to also just connect the blog with the videos. Now, how do you do that?
Well, I've done a mixture of things. I don't post all of my videos on my blog, actually. I used to in the beginning, and then I found that made it a little bit like schoolwork. um, so I've sort of done different things. Now what I tend to do is when I make a video that I feel there's something to say in a written format, I also write a blog to go with it. And actually, what I found is the more I blog, the easier it gets, because in the beginning, I studied literature at university, and I've done loads of essays as a master's student. And sometimes when I first started to write blogs, I felt like I had to write an essay or a thesis, something really polished and perfect. And what I've really discovered from blogging a lot over this past year is that the most touching blogs, the ones that go viral, that people really respond to, are the ones where you really speak from, it sounds cheesy, but it's so true, where you speak from your heart and you're just yourself. And you don't have to write an essay to get that across. You can write something quite short, but if it's really coming from you, people will sense that. So I make my videos every day and I share them on YouTube, but I also put them onto my Empower blog, because the thing is I noticed is that you can have a YouTube channel and be putting videos on there all the time, but there's no easy way to monetize it unless you become really big, because YouTube will not pay you for making a video. It would be nice if they did, perhaps, but it doesn't work like that. So what I found with the Empower Network is it's a blog with an income stream built into it because of its affiliate marketing aspect. So you can make a video, put it on your blog, and then bring people to the blog. And people that want to do it too will then click on the links and watch the video about how the blogging works and join you if they want to. So that's how I've sort of joined the dots between doing what I love, which is making videos, and also being able to actually, create a business from it and not just doing it for free. Because I know a lot of people with huge followings on YouTube that really struggle for money, because although they have, thousands of people watching their videos, they don't, it's free. People watch it for free, and there's no way of really monetizing it. And it doesn't have to be like that, which is what I love about where we are, is that you can, put your video to good use by also having it on, a set up blogging platform.
Right, and that is a great segue, because I was going to ask you what the results are of of you connecting, you finding, first of all, you found your core, who you are, and then you were able to get it out, and
Yeah.
now what is the result? So, okay, you were talking about how you blog, and you mentioned in the beginning, you might have done it a certain way or had a certain technique, and then now you've kind of gotten away from that a little bit, but you do it in a different way. You still basically blog, with the understanding that it is good to do it, every day, or at least, very regularly, but you do it in a different way. So I like that you brought that out, so that others can see that you don't have to be so strict in,
Definitely.
making sure that you check off, everything, and it's not that's not really how it is. And I love the energy that you bring to it, because that goes along with, we're talking about with the passion. You're going to be more successful when you share your passion. And so I wanted to check up and see what the update is on that. Okay, so you started doing that. Now, what are the results that you have seen from that, especially financially, because this is a business.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's been loads of different things, actually, because the main one actually isn't, financial has been as well, but the first thing that came to my mind when you asked me that was actually like a personal thing, because when I first started to make videos about 2 years ago on YouTube, I had, for a long time, I've had a speech problem where I don't really have it anymore, but my words would come out jumbled up, and it was really embarrassing. Like, I would have a conversation, and it was like dyslexia, but with my words. So I would go to say, like, oh, did you do that report? And it would be like, oh, did you report that? It would switch around. And it made me really self-conscious, because even though I knew what I wanted to say in my brain, between here and here, something weird would happen, and it would come out all warped. So when I first made videos, this would happen really a lot. So I would literally take like 2 or 3 hours to make one video and do like 30, 40 takes. and which made the whole process really not fun. And when I heard Avram talking about his inspirACTION challenge, and he said about how making a video every day had helped him become less self-conscious, more confident, and that was one of the main things that attracted me to making a video on a daily basis in the beginning. And so that's literally what's happened for me, because my first video I spoke really slowly because I knew I was only going to do one take and I didn't want to make a mistake. And sometimes I still do speak slowly, but it's improved so much. Like my confidence has just massively, I can't even like put it in words. It's just increased so much, and the speech thing hardly ever happens. And it was already getting better in the past couple of years, but now it's just like almost disappeared. And I know that's because I've been, really consistent with making videos and getting used to speaking without having to be scared of what's going to come out. And in terms of financially, well, my initial target was to be able to stop teaching my weekly Zumba classes because I was getting so kind of burnt out and frustrated with always being in the same place. So I started blogging in January, and I actually started to have big results, I'd say in like June, after I really sort of invested in the whole business and bought all the courses and decided to really go for it. And less than a month later, I had my first big commission, and I was able to actually stop teaching my classes in July. And so I have a couple of income streams. I don't just rely on the Empower Network, but I've been able to, pack up from where I was living, stop teaching my Zumba classes, and now I'm basically, I don't have an alarm clock. I'm a free agent. I wake up when I like. I make videos about what I like, and it's just continually growing. So it's been a really amazing journey, and I know that I'm just at the beginning because I only started about a year ago. And it takes time for anything to really grow and be massive. So it's really exciting.
That does sound exciting. I am so happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's all over your face. Like everybody can see how like just blissfully in love with your life you are. I love that because it just shows you're a living, walking testament of how you do business. I mean, really, or at least how business should be. It really shouldn't be something that people are like dragging themselves to do, because you're not going to get your best effort out of it. Nobody else is going to want to be bothered with that. It's like you said, it's just hard. You have to make yourself do it when you really don't have your heart in it. So that is really the key. And for me, I'm just starting learning a lot of things. I'm just starting learning different ways, and so I'm kind of like you when you first started, when you had to learn how to kind of talk, it seems like you have to learn. So it's like, you have to learn new things and learn new ways of